And welcome to Thete Gaming, and it's another Retribution Paladin video for Dragonflight, and I was not anticipating doing one. Tended to be doing one sort of each week, but this is a bit of an emergency one. It's about the old tier sets. There's been some consternation. Would you like to know what it is? Let's have a look. So, Blizzard produced a blue post with some design features. I would break it down into basically 3 design philosophies when it came to the first tier of tier set bonuses for Dragonflight. They've made it clear it doesn't apply to later on in the expansion. This is for now. And 2 of them are badly broken by the Ret tier set bonuses. So let's take a look at what they've said first of all. So their first design aim, they say, this is their words, we set a few goals for this round of class sets. First and foremost, these class set bonuses are not as complex as the effects on 9.2 class sets. The new talent trees have resulted in a lot of changes to classes in Dragonflight. You're not kidding. And we want you all to be able to play those classes without class sets that significantly change your rotations or resource economies. Okay, so let's do the next bit in a moment. Let's look at the set bonuses. Now, for the first bit, we need to look at the 2 set bonus. The 2 set bonus says that Blade of Justice and Judgment grant Crusader strength. Okay. That increases the damage of your next Crusader strike or consecration by 100%, stacking up to 2. Stacks up to 2. Okay, so if we stack it up to 2, that's trebling the damage of our next Crusader strike or consecration. Oh, nice. Okay, so start of a fight, quite easy. Run in, do a Judgment, then do a Blade of Justice, no problem. We've stacked ourselves up to 2. So then we say, okay, so the next time we now cast a Crusader strike or a consecration, the damage of it will basically be trebled. Does it matter which one we do? Yes, of course it does. Let's have a look at this. This is my level 62. The numbers will be very different when people get these set bonuses, but relatively speaking. My Crusader strike does 2,150 physical damage. That's going to be reduced by the boss's armor. So in actual fact, it will do 1,505 damage against a raid boss. My consecration, where the full damage is done, because it's spell damage, is 3,123. Now, that means that my consecration does more than double the damage of a Crusader strike, which means if I use that double stack of Crusader strength on my consecration, I get 6 times the value as compared to Crusader strike, because the consecration's worth double and then I'm trebling it. So of course I'm going to want to use it on consecration where possible. So immediately it's impacting my rotation. And it's also making that rotation more complex, because at the start of the fight it's easy enough. You just say, you don't have to use a consecration straight away, of course. Just make sure you use your consecration before your Blade of Justice and Judgment have come back off cooldown, and before you'd be ready to do a Crusader strike. Although actually, if you open with a Judgment and a Blade of Justice, the next thing you want to do is a Crusader strike, let's be honest. So, but there's going to be times in the rest of the rotation when it's not as tidy. There'll come a time when you've got these stacks of Crusader strength, or you know, and you're thinking to yourself, well, consecration's still not off cooldown. How long do I wait? Because I'm naturally wanting to do a Crusader strike now. That's available. So how long do I wait? There comes a point where you wait too long and it's an overall DPS loss, because what you should be doing is using your Crusader strike to generate holy power, so you can use your real damage abilities. So it might only be a second or 2. Who knows? Sims will have to sort that out. So that requires a much more in-depth knowledge of your class. And you're going to have to track it as well. You're going to have something, so you're very carefully tracking when consecration is coming off cooldown, because there'll be a number, there'll be a time where if it's above that time, just use your Crusader strike, and if it's not, wait a second for your consecration and use it on that, because it's worth that much more damage. So we've complicated the rotation. We have definitely impacted the rotation. Next thing they say is, this is not to say we won't make more complex or rotationally impactful class sets in the future. As I say, this is all about just the here and now. But you'll find these bonuses generally take a light touch on features like resource generation and cooldown manipulation. Not for Ret Paladins, they don't. That 2 set bonus alone, never mind going on to the 4th, which I'll do in a moment, the 2 set bonus alone is massively impactful. It affects your rotation and it affects your resource management, because remember, if you do wait a second or a second and a half or whatever for consecration to come off cooldown, then you are impacting your resource management as well, because your Crusader Strike, it doesn't do damage. It's there to generate holy power, right? So you're holding off holy power generation. So it breaks the first rule. So then we go on to their second rule. Okay, it says another, well, it's the second and third, I would call these. Another goal that came from wanting you to have a chance to get familiar with Dragonflight's new classes is we want these class sets to have minimal impact on your talent choices. We want you to be able to play the way you choose in whatever content you prefer. As a result, they generally modify core abilities or talents that are learned near the top of the tree. We'll go to the second bit in a minute, because I think that's a third one that they sort of are keeping to. So let's look at the 4th set bonus. When you consume Crusader Strike, so you build up, you use your Crusader Strike on too much Crusade. Crusader Strength on Crusader Strike or Consecration, then you get another buff that means your next Blade of Justice is increased by 50% for each stack of Crusader Strength consumed. So again, there's probably now a case of going, okay, so probably by the time Blade of Justice comes back off cooldown, remember Art of War means it could do it at any time. We want to have a double consumption of that. So that complicates the rotation a bit more as well. Great, nice one, thank you. I'm sure Hikili will love that. But it's buffing Blade of Justice. And so you think to yourself, okay, so what's happening here is, but these 2 set bonuses put together are buffing both Consecration and Blade of Justice. So then you think to yourself, okay, so, well, are there any talents that buff Consecration? Oh, I don't know. I don't know. Are there any talents that buff Blade of Justice? And you think, well, there's that. There's that, technically. That increases the crit chance of it. This one, I assume, will have some interplay, because spending Holy Power boosts the damage of your Blade of Justice as well. So presumably that will have some interplay with it. So there are abilities. I don't think we need to worry about that. And I've taken that. And that doesn't... no, that does. Yeah, that boosts it as well. I mean, but I've taken that anyway. But what my point is, it says, oh, it's not going to, like, you know, force you to have some... Like, here's the thing. Tuning's not been done. Maybe I needed to make that point in my last video clearer. When I talk about the talents, everything, I'm not talking about tuning. Tuning hasn't been done. We're into beta. Of course, tuning's still going on. When beta's finished and the pre-patch goes live, well, beta's still, I suppose, going on then. But when the pre-patch goes live, do you know what? It's still not tuned. When Dragonflight goes live, it's still not tuned. Blizzard need to make sure that it's tuned, that it's all in a good place for when the raids start. Because that's where it mostly matters. Not in the first couple of weeks. It matters when the raids go live, which is like 12th of December. So that's what they're aiming for there. So I'm not talking about tuning. This is level 62, so I still have a few more talent points to play with by the time I get to level 70. This is the general shape of what I like. Not necessarily what I would play, because that will depend. What I like, what I'm thinking in terms of, for general use, obviously different sets for different circumstances. And you can see, I'm not taking these. But with that set bonus, I'll be thinking, well, surely I will have to. Bolus, who you'll know, he's posted on the forums with his feedback. I'll post a link as well if you can read that. And he's made the very good point that the talents, are they going to be balanced or not? And how are they going to be balanced? So let us imagine that Blizzard balance them. They're suggesting, as they always do, that you can choose what talents you want within reason. Obviously, there are certain synergies, but within that, you choose the talents that you prefer, and it'll all be fine. Okay, fine. So that means you're going to, broadly speaking, have all the talents balanced. So that means that you could or could not take these depending on what you liked. That's fine. I don't want to take them. But then the set bonus. Well, all of a sudden, these are now more powerful. Does that mean that these are now must-takes? Well, of course they are. But then, what if Blizzard do something different? What if Blizzard say, well, the set bonus makes these more powerful, so we'll make them a bit weaker with tuning. So then you say, okay, I don't have the set bonus, or I don't have the 4 set bonus, therefore I don't take any of these talents, because they're too weak. They're only balanced with this 4 set bonus. So if I don't have the 4 set bonus, I don't take them. If I do have the 4 set bonus, maybe I can choose to take them or not. That's what, which is the case. I don't know. I don't know. We won't know until the raid goes live, because that's when the balancing will be done, and that's when Sims will tell us whether or not these talents are balanced pre-set bonus or post-set bonus. And depending, they're either talents that we have to take but do not take before we've got the set bonus, or ones that are genuinely balanced. It's a mess. And then what happens in the next tier? It means you have to keep rebalancing it, because if these were only balanced with the tier set bonus, that then all of a sudden it's thrown out of whack when you have a different set bonus. It's all a complete disaster. It breaks 2 core design aims. The third one that I would argue is a third one, which is fine, is it says they may have synergies with talents further down the tree, but they shouldn't make you feel like specific builds or capstone talents are required. Now, capstone talents, fair enough. You look at these and you go, yeah, it's not really boosted by any of these. There's no interplay with these that I can see realistically. So fine. But it is locking you in. You know, if it's taking you down a particular path, that's one thing. But there's several talents here that I probably have to take with it to be competitive. I mean, to say competitive, I'm not playing competitive. It don't matter. I can do what I like. I could just go with no talents. Who cares? It's LFR. But if I was thinking in terms of doing proper content, then, you know, of course I'd want to take these to maximize my output, because the set bonuses makes them more powerful. And that's then 3 talents that I don't really want to take, that will mean there'll be 3 other talents that I do want to take that I won't be taking. Because that's how it works. If you take a talent that you're not really that keen on, you have to lose a talent that maybe you are keen on. So that's where the consternation is. Obviously, there's still time for Blizzard to reflect on it and decide actually it doesn't meet their design philosophies. I would argue that, in particular, the Paladin class set, I can't really compare to too many other classes. I've had a little play on other classes, but not enough. But certainly for these ones, the whole design of these talent trees doesn't allow them to meet their objectives without boring set bonuses. Because here's the thing, if they genuinely wanted simple set bonuses that don't really impact stuff, then you go, okay, 2 set bonus, you get an extra 5% crit. 4 set bonus, you get long arm of the law. Something like that, you know. That's what you would get. You'd either get some utility or you get an increase in some stat. Could be a primary stat, secondary stat, doesn't really matter. You get some increases, although if any of it was mastery, technically you might be favouring still some talents over others, but it'd be much less impactful. But that's what you would do. But then if you did that, what would happen? People would call it boring. And it'd be like, yeah, it is boring. Because do you know what's not boring? Things that are impactful. So it's like they're saying they don't want them to be impactful, but they don't do anything that will be classed as boring. That fundamentally doesn't work. It's contradictory. So that's the bit of a mess we're in here. Those are my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comments below. Hope you found the video interesting. Until next time, I'll see you later.